Today marks the start of the trial for the owner of a local K-9 training business accused of stealing money from the government.
Bradley Croft, who owns Universal K-9, is charged with wire fraud, identity theft, money laundering, and making a false tax return.
While cameras were not allowed in the federal court, Eyewitness News reporter Mariah Medina was there as attorneys for the United States laid out their case.
More than a year after his K-9 training facilities were raided by the Fed, Bradley Croft now on trial on a slew of charges relating to that business. Universal K-9. The crux of the allegations against Croft, that he fraudulently obtained approval to get GI benefits through the Texas Veterans Commission. Attorneys for the United States say when he applied for approval, he put down the names of 4 instructors, one who had been dead for more than a year. The others, they say, never allowed Croft to put their name down. Court records allege after he fraudulently got approval to tap into veterans' GI benefits, Croft recruited veterans to take his dog handler courses, which range between $6,500 and $12,000. And then he billed the government for the classes taken by the veterans. Between 2016 and 2018, an indictment alleges Universal K-9 submitted education claims exceeding $1.2 million. During opening statements, attorneys for the United States said that through all of this, Croft claimed in a tax return that he made only $2,000, despite evidence he spent, quote, grossly in excess of that. Attorneys for the government said that they will call the 3 living individuals listed as instructors in the application for approval for GI funds to testify during the trial. Today, Croft also waiving his right to a jury trial, meaning his fate is now in the hands of senior U.S. District Judge David Ezra, who's a veteran himself. Croft's attorney told KENS 5 that neither he nor Croft would be speaking to members of the media about the trial today. Mariah Medina, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.